Hi, I'm Joe Walensky, and I'm the conference director for the Technical Writing Conference. That's a virtual event online everywhere for everyone, and that is coming up Tuesday, June 23rd. And I get a chance to do a quick preview with each of our speakers. And today I'm talking with Lindsey Rix. Hello, Lindsey. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Joe?
Good. It's today a beautiful sunny day from Bellingham, Washington, which is about 80 miles north of Seattle. Where are you talking to me from?
I am near Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is about 45 minutes outside of Detroit, so just west of Detroit. So we are also having sunny, beautiful 70-degree weather today. We're coming to the highlight of Michigan is the Michigan summer. So
Excellent.
perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good to have you as part of this program. We've known each other before this, but for people that may want to learn a little bit about you, tell us about your the work that you're involved in and how you found your way to where you are today.
Yeah, so I have been with Blackbaud. We're a software and services provider for the social good community, so think nonprofits. I've been a technical writer with them for over 20 years now. I kind of came to the field through, I got a master's degree at Clemson, and I didn't really know much about the field until I stumbled in it, and it just didn't let me go. So, over the last 20 years, I've really just enjoyed kind of the problem solving aspect. My specialty is more in the information design space. I've gotten to work on many different kinds of projects and content at Blackbaud. One of my specialties is data-driven content strategy. So, using things like analytics and feedback to make content decisions. I've gotten to work on API and developer documentation. More recently, one of my key projects is working on Blackbaud's chat for Blackbaud AI. So it's a generative AI chat within our fundraising and other software. I continue to do some traditional documentation, but a key part of my work now, kind of being a leading individual contributor at Blackbaud, is mentoring and help coaching and then discovering like how to lead the team and what our content architecture and strategy is going to be. So, really, over the years, I've just had the fortunate just to try and experiment with different things. So, yeah, I'm still here, still enjoy working with my team. That's like really been the biggest thing that I've done is kind of, and now, leading into like how our role is changing, that's been a big focus of mine for the last year is what does the technical writer role look like for now and in the future?
And accessibility is something I'm very interested in. And we were just before we started this recording, you mentioned you were starting to do new things with accessibility for your documentation. So I guess that's a good example of kind of one of those things that you're evolving your practice into.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think about just the ways that AI generates content. And one of the things I've been fortunate on is through Blackbaud, like through our company, they've been encouraging us to use the tools and take trainings. One of the ways I've been looking at is what are the other ways it can help us as technical writers? And one of them is like accessibility. So using like an AI chat in the context of this case, I was using GitHub Copilot inside Visual Studio Code and being able to look at like our entire help output or a single page application that has a bunch of documentation and asking the question, how do I make this more accessible? And the accessibility on it, it was great. It looked at the WCAG guidelines and it made recommendations. So it's like this discovery of, not necessarily the content part, but the other ways that AI can help us. Like that's been a fascinating part of like the transformation last year. I don't know that I would have predicted it even a year and a half ago that we'd be already trying these kinds of things. But yeah, it's been fascinating I mean, we used to be loading like our help output and using a browser extension to test the accessibility. Now we're kind of speeding up that process and implementing the changes more quickly. So
Well, it's a good to hear that the
yeah.
technology is providing some progressive help in that area. And to talk a little bit about your topic that you're going to present, the title is Content is the Strategy, the Indispensable Writer's Role in the AI Era. So tell us a little bit about how you came around to that and what we can expect to learn from it.
Yeah, a big thing for me that I want to talk about in the presentation is about a year ago when my company was rolling this out, I had a lot of the anxiety and same fears as everyone else. And for the first time in my 20 years, I really wasn't sure what our role would look like 5 years from now. It kind of felt like I was really got to a point where I understood my role and what I was supposed to be doing. But then all of a sudden, with these new tools, I really didn't understand. Like, I had the same concerns as everyone else. I didn't want AI to replace what I was doing. And so I thought the best thing for me to do was to try the tools and, try to understand. I didn't want other people to decide for me like how AI would change my role. Or, in that case, they might decide to replace me and think, oh, that content's good enough. So really, I started trying a bunch of different um, AI tools that we made available to us, took the training, and it really is started with questions. Can I try this? Are there ways I can learn? So when we were discussing the presentation, I thought the best thing I could do was start talking about the ways it is transforming, different ways. Like now we're looking at MCP, and saying, hey, can I take data from our source code, take that information and compare it to my help and have it audit and tell me if there's anything missing. It's just kind of speeding up, or it could be minor, like, am I tired of adding variables in Madcat Flare and I just want to focus on the content? I can create a skill that does that for me. So it's all these really starting with questions of like, could I do this or how could it change my role? And really, it's because we're expected to work faster and produce better outcomes more quickly. And so, what are ways that like I want to have AI be my assistant versus having it say it's going to replace me? So, when I was putting this together, I just wanted to speak about more of like a use case of here's the things we've tried and here's what's working, and not focus so much on the part that everybody's afraid of, is because I do want to show there's still a human in a loop element of all these things. And I want people to feel like they can articulate their value and how they can use AI, especially as we're hearing things about like how AI is expensive. So we need to be vocal and be able to share with people like what value we bring and how can we use it. And just it's been really transformative for me that way, because I've always wanted like to say have AI could look at our analytics search, the AI can look at our search data, what customers are really searching on, and then, open our Flare project in Visual Studio Code with GitHub Copilot. I say, hey, do we have any gaps? And so things that I probably could have done, it's still I'm the one with the idea and the one that wants to execute, but I now have like an assistant to make it more quickly. So it's really just wanting to share those ideas and connect with people about how our role is transforming. So yeah, and just want to give them that the art of the possible, right? Like I think there's a lot that it could be negative, but I also want to say, like, if you want to have a role going forward in knowing what's happening, I want us to be the ones defining it. I don't want someone else to say, this is what a technical writer does. I still have all the same anxiety, but at least I feel like I'm doing something about it by just experimenting and learning new ways that it can. And then, and really, like, the next phase of this is then once we share with each other how we do it, then it's like, well, how do we let the people that lead our organizations know that we're doing it? So that's really why I put it together. Is I wanted to speak from a place of like, this is what my team is concerned with right now. This is what I assume if we're being asked these things, people at other organizations are being kind of asked the same questions, like, how is AI improving your workflow? You know?
Well, you mentioned it being the art of the possible, and I think like
Yeah.
this past year has also been like the art of the practical,
Yeah.
where there's been so many great sharings from technical writers that are now deep into the weeds. So
Yeah.
we're in it. This is what we're doing, and these are our specific situations and solutions and challenges. And so, it's great to see the our profession evolving and digging
Yeah.
into these issues.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to try things, with my current team and be the one. I've done a lot of coaching. That's part of it too, is every time I learn something, the first thing I want to do is share it with the people on my team who are most excited and also want to try it. Because there's a lot of learning we need to do. And we also want to be practical, what it really looks like in our workflow. And a lot of it too is just discovering some of the value we put previously. Like we have a very strong, best practices and guidelines for how we write. That those are really great artifacts that we can bring with us. Like they're very useful. So that's the kind of thing that I want to talk about with peers is like your previous work is still valid. You just might use it differently. And there are times too where it's also like my favorite thing is I see a developer doing something and I go, oh, well, like why can't I do that? Or how would I do that? Like, I was trying to figure out like how to get feedback data out of one of our tools, and I'm doing it kind of the clunky way, getting this KQL query right and then exporting it. And I go, well, when we talked about exporting it into like Copilot or Claude and having it analyze it, and the developer was like, I just ask it questions from the chat. Like I ask it to do this analysis via question. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot simpler and faster. How would I do that? What would be my, so those I wanted to share, like how that transforms some of the way I've been working is thinking kind of like these tools aren't just for developers, or are there ways we would use it? And what does that look like? Like, and a lot of time too is because we're given less time to create the same similar content. So it's like, what ways can I speed this up? Can we have it analyze pull request changes? Or like those kind of scenarios where like I just want to be able to get that information faster instead of doing it manually. So it's honestly the funny part of it is I probably get to go address everything I've ever thought was tedious in 20 years. I can go, oh, can I do this better? Like the variables example. Do I really want to go and tag everything the way that like we do it specifically? Like, no, like that's something the AI can do and I can just focus on the content itself. Or things like optimizing, like are there ways we can improve our help for search? If I have, don't have to do all some of the tedious tasks, do I have more time to do the higher thinking?
It gave me a lot of your perspective on that gave me a lot of things for me to think about myself that I hadn't really thought about. So
I mean,
thanks for
that's the
that.
hope. I mean, that's the hope. I'll do what I can to I do want to share. Like part of this too is, I think is an excellent opportunity for us to network better and to share because it is like drinking from a fire hose. I get energized and excited and ideas by just talking with my peers. So I'm doing it within Blackbaud, but I'd really like to do it with the like our greater community because I was just, if you casually read, like Tom Johnson was talking about, like he has this process and he was creating separate skills. And I was like, yeah, I could totally see why you do that because you don't want AI can make mistakes if you give it too large of a task. So it's, yeah, I could chain together these skills. And so every time, or someone said to me, hey, we used AI to create a dashboard. I'm like, that would be fantastic. I would love for it to create, all the charts and the visuals for me based on the information. It's just, I don't know, that's where I get excited about our field is hearing from other people about how they're using these tools. Going back to my original premise, which is like uh, I used to know how to excel in our field, and now I want to better understand like what is going to be expected of me in 5 years. Like I would like to, all of us would like to retire and be, pursuing our pursuits, but I'm a long way off on that. So I don't want to be a dinosaur yet. I want to be evolving, and that's what I kind of enjoy about the field is when I first started, I thought it was going to be very routine. You have to work with SMEs and you're going to be doing these user guides. And it's honestly never been that way since day one. There's always been new things to try and sign up for or say yes to. And I think that's what keeps me engaged about the field. I don't know if we'll be called technical writers forever. Maybe our focus will be, more in content strategy or the information design. That's what I'm curious about as, well as what comes next. So.
Well, I mentioned to you that like I started doing technical writing in 1982. So I'm old, but I still enjoy it. I still have a lot of fun with it, and that's why it's great to do these events. And I'm sure at your session there'll be a lot of people interested asking questions and having discussions. So I appreciate you just taking a few minutes with me to preview a little bit about your session and talking a little bit about your background, and we'll see you at the event in less than a month.
Yes, I see everyone in June, which is right around the corner.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a
Okay.
lot, Lizzie.
Yep.
Bye-bye.